Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way to fantasy glory, acting as your lead blocker on your way to fantasy excellence, making all your football-related fantasies come true. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. I've been out a couple weeks, but I'm back with the Wolf of Roto Street himself, and we're happy to bring you Week 11, Thursday Night Football. Sit starts as we lead up, and hopefully we'll hit the entire mailbag and get all your questions answered. We got a Patriots Thursday Night Football game. And it's been a couple weeks since I've talked to the Wolf, and the Patriots stock has just gone nothing but up since then. I'm assuming this has exceeded anything that you thought going into the season. Even if you were up on the Patriots, you probably weren't this high up, right?
I was quite high up. Their over-under on the season was 8.5. I think I teased it to 10.5. Even still, though, 10.5. Now you're looking about 12.5, 13.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'd say, yes, I had probably as high of expectations as anyone out there, and they're still exceeding it. And the best part is Drake May is only a sophomore season. Mike Vrabel's still very young for a head coach. Nobody's going to want Josh McDaniels as a head coach for the rest of his career. So this could be the nucleus it's just, I'm so spoiled as a Pats fan, and I don't want to jinx anything. But, man, to go from like Brady, have a couple down years, and now this is looking like the next regime that could truly build a dynasty. You love to see it. I am so over the moon about this Patriots team going for their 8th win tonight in a row. I absolutely love it. Yeah, this is the best.
It's pretty awesome. On the other side of that coin, how about those Jets, huh?
Seriously. Oh, just abysmal. Couldn't be worse. Although, hey, we're talking about a team on a 2-game win streak here, Truth. They're only 2 wins of the season. Could they be
right? Aren't they like 2-9 or something, or 2-6? Or
exactly. It's the only wins they have. I believe 2-6 on the year because they had the bye week. Or maybe 2-7. Yeah, they're horrendous either way. So that's where we get this 12.5-point spread to just dive right in. And thank you guys so much. We'll be previewing this game. I got 3 quick stories for you about the game and guys that you're probably considering, a handful of sleepers you might not be. On to your questions right after that. 12.5-point spread, though, Truth. Is that enough points? Do the Pats just obliterate them to the point that 12.5 still gets covered? What are you thinking?
So my instinct is that I'm probably taking the Jets in the points, which I genuinely feel bad saying because I just think the Jets are awful. And, I've been an anti-Patriots guy for a very long time, but I'm not anti this team. I'm fairly pro-Patriots. It's more like a lot of the pieces, and I thought Belichick was a great coach. It was very, very hard for me to get behind the guy. But, I mean, it's tough for me not to pull for this team. I like them. So I want to pick the Pats here. I do believe the Pats will win the game. 12.5 points is so many. Now, with that said, they could win by 40. But I think I would probably take the Jets and the points here, and I would probably go over just because, it's more fun than going under. I don't have a better reason for that, so I'm probably taking the Jets and the over. How about you?
I'm actually going the exact opposite way with this one.
Let's hear it.
Obviously, I think the Pats cover here. I just think they're going to obliterate this pathetic Jets team. And maybe, there's always weird things, divisional showdowns. We saw it last week, and I said Broncos obliterate the Raiders over.
Right, 10-7.
It couldn't have been a more off take on the game. The under was under by about 40, like the 10-7 game. So you never know in these divisional contests how it's going to unfold. But I just think the Patriots are at a completely different level, and Vrabel has them playing. You sometimes when you get that 7-game win streak, that 8-game win streak, you sense the lull, the trap game. I don't think so with this team. I think this team is ready. They're disciplined, and I think they're going to cover 12.5. I think it will hit the under just because I don't know that the Jets score a point. I think we might legitimately pitch a shout-out here. The defense has been playing lights out. We have a phenomenal front seven, and the Jets can't pass on you, and that's the one way. We have a good secondary, but the real strength of the team relative to the rest of the team, that D-line, that run D, is absolutely ferocious. And that's really the only thing the Jets can do. So I don't think they're going to move the ball at all. I think this is going to be an absolute shit kicking. I think the Jets end up losing by about 20 tonight. And the under hits only because the Patriots are like, all right, we're already up 30-0. What else do we have to score for? Let's kind of bleed this one out.
So I think you and I were completely aligned. I want to say the last 3 games we've picked. And we've done well. Like, we've generally been right. So I think this is the first time since maybe week 1 or 2 that we've been diametrically opposed.
I think week 1, and you were absolutely right in week 1. I remember because you texted me. Right.
The one time we were off, I do think it went my way. But other than that, we've picked a couple that were not totally obvious, and we picked the same thing. And I think we've been right just about every time. Our picks have been pretty good.
If I'm not mistaken, Drew, the last time we went live, I believe we both took Joe Flacco money line against the Steelers on Thursday night. I think that might have been the last time we went live. As we said, Flacco with the point. We don't even take the points. Take the money line. Take the over. We're going to get a Flacco upset. He got something frisky brewing on a Thursday night. We couldn't have been more right on that one.
Yeah, right. Couldn't have been more right on that one. I think we also, we've nailed a couple. We've been all right. I'm thinking like 27-16 here, Pats. With that said, it could be like 41-7 also.
Yeah. There's a few betting notes I'll give people out there, which obviously, again, means really nothing, but this is just historical winners, losses. So the Jets have covered their last 3 times as underdogs. They're 4-1 against the spread this season in their last 5 as underdogs. So pretty good for them there. Patriots, though, are also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as favorites. Patriots are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games, and 4 straight Patriots games have gone over the total. Pats are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 home meetings against the Jets, including an outright win as 7.5-point underdogs last season as well. And home favorites this year, though, the only other trend of note is 0-4 against the spread in Thursday night games as home favorites. So who knows what to make out of all of those?
I don't know where that points us exactly.
It points you every direction. If you want to take the Jets, you got some ammunition. If you want to take the Pats, you got some ammunition. That's why I find those trends always so funny on the ESPN post, because I love hearing them. I think they're interesting. But ultimately, none of those lead us to a clear-cut path here, other than the Patriots are going to dominate tonight.
And I'm pulling for them. There's absolutely no reason not to. If this were the Patriots in the absolute apex of their powers in the Brady era, yeah, sure, I'd pull for the Jets. I'd know I was going to lose, but I'd pull for the Jets. There's no reason not to pull for the Pats here. Let's enjoy it.
It is funny how much more likable Mike Vrabel is as a human being than Bill Belichick ever was. And of course, as a Pat fan, I don't want to disparage the guy, but he was a prick, and I can understand why everybody hated us. If you weren't ain't us, that whole expression, why it came up. Mike Vrabel, though, running to the sidelines for his players and sprinting down there when somebody's hurt. He's just always in there. And you can tell he has that discipline, and the coach, everybody loves and respects him, but yet he's still in the locker room celebrating with the boys. Like, everybody just loves the guy. I couldn't be more enthused. As enthused as I am about Drake May, and how could you not be MVP favorite right now?
That's crazy
about Mike Vrabel.
You should be excited about Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel was such an obvious hire for this job. It was just like, you got to pick this guy up. And if we're talking about just being likable as a human being, Drake May is a way more likable human being than Tom Brady. I mean, obviously, Tom Brady's got the hardware, and he's almost certainly the GOAT. But, I mean, it's way easier for me to get behind him as just a guy than Brady. Brady's kind of got to that level where he just wasn't even remotely like a regular person anymore. He was just like, you know what I mean? I mean, just like when you get that good and that famous at something, you become, while easy to pull for if you're the hometown guy and you grew up with him, just completely unrelatable as a human being. So I like Drake May. Hopefully he doesn't get to that point, although I wish him success.
I love it. Oh, man. Well, in terms of some news and whatnot, to talk about some talking points, at this point, another reason why I love the Patriots is the only real passing game weapon for the Jets. Garrett Wilson will be out. They might put him on injured reserve. It wouldn't shock me at this point if they just put him on ice for the season. It's a lost year. You sign the guy to a mega deal. Why risk him overcompensating and suddenly a real ligament? You know, the MCL, okay, it's a tough injury, but you can come back from that in a few weeks. But it also puts you at a bigger risk for maybe he then tears the ACL. Maybe he tears something bigger. I'm no doctor, but I've torn my knee twice, and a lot of times it was because I was overcompensating for a smaller knee injury beforehand. So ultimately, I just hope they rest the guy for the rest of the season. And either way, I don't see who they throw to.
Just so you know, we just got a comment that says he's on the IR. They just announced it recently.
Oh, so at least 3. That means he's going to miss at least the next 4 games. That brings us to what, week 15? So you imagine the Jets at that point.
Bring him back. They're looking down the barrel at like 3-11 or something.
Right. What's the point of bringing him back at that point? So ultimately, I see that's, again, part of why I think the Patriots can cover this is there's just no resistance in the passing game. But that leads me to, we'll talk about Breece Hall as maybe the only Jet we're starting. And even then, is he worth it?
I'm having a little bit of a hard time now justifying my pick. I said 27-16. I'm wondering where these 16 points are going to come from.
Who's going to score the 16 points? I guess I truly think they might not score a point. Maybe a field goal, but that's assuming they actually drive it when the game is still competitive enough that a field goal matters. I really could see us pitching a shutout here at all.
I'm sticking with my pick, but I admit if I'm a little jittery now.
Yeah, without Garrett Wilson, I really don't see who's going to – maybe Breece Hall really does. I love Breece Hall. I think he's a great player, so maybe he does overcome this. I don't know. TreVeyon Henderson, though, let's talk about this guy.
How many people do you think gave up on him, like fantasy-wise? Like everybody?
I think most people, you had to have given up at some point of the dream that this guy was going to explode and be a true league winner. Like we're now seeing, he got cut in my main league, and I unfortunately did not have a ton of fab at this point of the season, and so somebody else picked him up, and their team is useless. They're horrendous anyways, so he's just going to go rot on that team. But that's how bad it got with Henderson, was people were dropping him. And I honestly, I wouldn't have dropped the guy. I was on the train that you had to stick this one out given the talent. But ultimately, I could kind of understand where you're getting, Terrell Jennings rotating in ahead of him at certain points of the season. And the team just clearly had no trust, no faith in him for quite some time. But then the Stevenson injury kind of opened that door, and he really has just burst as fast as can be through it. We've seen that last week, multiple touchdowns of over 50 yards last week. The guy is an absolute animal. And again, if you wanted to quit on the guy early, I could understand, but hopefully you held it on. So Stevenson, when active, has been the clear guy. 71, 77, and 72% of the snaps in week 6, 7, and 8. As we saw Henderson's role continue to diminish, he gets hurt. And what has happened since then? Well, we've had TreVeyon Henderson 75 and 83% of the snaps, so averaging 79%. He's averaged 60% of the rush attempts. Even more importantly, 71% of the routes. That's where he was supposed to be so deadly and dangerous, was as a pass catcher. Now they're finally using him there. He's averaged an 11% target share, and fantasy points is really, at the end of the day, all that matters. He's averaging over 20 PPR fantasy points these last 2 games, been the running back 6 across these last 2 games. So he's been berserk. The only reason we're talking about it is there are trickles. I think people are still hesitant, truth, about those early season woes, and can we really believe what's happening right now? Because I am still getting sit starts about him, and I guess I could understand a little bit of hesitation. But with Rhamondre Stevenson on the shelf yet again tonight, you got to have TreVeyon Henderson as a near 13-point favorite in your lineup. I don't see any world that this guy does not score at least 15 fantasy points, and I have him down for 21 tonight. So I'm a big fan of TreVeyon Henderson. My only question is, like, in DraftKings, do you put him as your captain or instead of Drake May, or how do you play that? I think he's in that conversation. I'm going to probably have TreVeyon as my captain, though.
I agree with you. I mean, he's a clear start at this point. I mean, everything trending the right way for the Pats. And I mean, for him personally, as far as like fantasy output and regular output, as far as just like the snap count, playing time, everything. Just and look at who he's going against at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I'm rolling him out there, and if I had him, I'd be expecting some serious points. By the way, we just hit 500. By the way, so thanks a lot, everybody. We're already up to 500 viewers early into the show.
Appreciate 500 of you already here. Love to see it. If you enjoy what you're hearing, that thumbs up button, haven't asked for it yet, would mean the world. Help us get out to more people. But truth, so I was going to ask you one question after I posted about TreVeyon Henderson I got, and I went maybe the way you wouldn't expect, was TreVeyon versus Saquon Barkley as a question. I went TreVeyon.
And remind me who the Eagles are going against.
They're facing it's a Sunday or Monday night game, primetime game. Eagles are facing it's a good game too. Lions, Eagles.
I honestly, with this matchup, I'd probably go Henderson, which is crazy. I mean, I like to think on my current team, which is a dumpster fire, I could certainly squeeze both of these guys into the lineup.
Right. That's what I said to the guy. Like, God bless you for having both these guys as options, and you have to bench one of them. I would be benching Saquon Barkley in that situation myself.
This week in a vacuum, I think I would too.
Yeah, the other one that I got was interesting was George Pickens versus Henderson, which I thought was really interesting. They're facing the Raiders, a really good matchup for Pickens, but I'm still going Henderson at this point. So that's just to give you guys some measuring sticks. But of course, if you have a Henderson question, we're not going to bash you and say he's a must start. Why are you asking it?
No, ask away. Go ahead.
That just gives you the type of level of questions and the competition I'm getting with TreVeyon Henderson in this one.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, I mean, you must be feeling great about that too. Just like not even from a fantasy standpoint, like you must really be enjoying that.
Well, I'm so happy he's really panned out. And I knew he had it in him. And it just was so frustrating to see every week he couldn't get onto the field. So to see him just explode the way he has been phenomenal. You might also have questions on the Patriots receiving core. Stefon Diggs, touchdown in 3 straight. Love him at plus 140 to keep that streak going, especially no Sauce Gardner tonight. He's more likely a slam dunk in your lineup. But again, of course, let us know if you have a Diggs question. But the sleeper I like tonight, I'm plus 7 ECR on this guy. I believe I have him at wide receiver 42, 43, is Mac Hollins. So last week with no Kayshon Boutte in the lineup, yes, we saw Diggs have one of his season high route shares of the year, 78% routes, a nice healthy 25% target share, ultimately put up 15.6 fantasy points, wide receiver 20 on the week. But he was actually outperformed in every single category by Mac Hollins, 83% of the routes, 33% targets per route run, a 36% target share, 44% air yard share, and 16.6 points for Mac Hollins, who ended up finishing as the wide receiver 19, just ahead of Diggs. Diggs is the one that nobody's really asking about, and I understand and I agree with that. But I don't think Mac Hollins is getting quite the love that he deserves. So if you are in a desperate, he's still out there in, I think, 98% of leagues. Like, nobody's picking him up. Nobody's even sniffed the guy. If you're desperate at wide receiver, I do have guys like Tez Johnson and some of these popular streamers ahead of Mac Hollins. But I think he's right in that conversation with some of these other. I have him over Darnell Mooney, who he's consistently ranked ahead of him. Some of these guys that just on name value, I believe he's ranked below like Cooper Kupp, who does absolutely nothing week in and week out. If you're desperate at wide receiver, I think you can do a whole lot worse than Mac Hollins. And even, you want to go deeper than that, Kyle Williams catching that 73-yard touchdown, or 72 yards rather, seems to really be a quote by Mike Vrabel, settling down, excited to keep giving him a greater opportunity as we're moving forward. Loved the talent, loved Williams when we drafted him. He's a guy that I don't know that I would love to start. Wouldn't be shocked if he finds the end zone tonight. I'd be much more comfortable starting Mac Hollins tonight, though, stashing Kyle Williams as well as a nice sleeper for your stretch runs. I think this Patriots passing game is only going to continue to plow forward and upward. Demario Douglas is the odd man out, only 31% of the routes, even with Boutte out last week. So he's the one. I have somebody in my league starting Demario Douglas, which is pathetic. He's also 0-10 right now. And we have a rule that we're not too crazy with our punishments. We do have last place punishments and all that. But we've had a rule since day one where if somebody actually goes 0 on the season, you have to get a tattoo of your team name and your record stating 0-16. And so
I think that's reasonable. I think if you go 0 something, I do think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think his name is horrible too. It's like Skinny in the Fezziwigs or something awful that like you're gonna have that tramp stamped across your back. That would be embarrassing. So knock on wood, I'm hoping me speaking about it will not actually ruin the streak. But he started Demario Douglas is what you need to know. So don't be starting Demario Douglas. Don't be 0-10. Pivot to Mac Hollins if you're that desperate is where this take is going.
That's real. It's a good take.
And the last guy before we get to all of your questions is Breece Hall. I have gotten a good amount of questions, and he's more understandable to ask about than TreVeyon Henderson, in my opinion, because he is facing a tough Pats run defense. They have only given up one 50-yard rusher on the season. I'd be shocked if you knew who this was, Truth.
I don't think I do.
You don't probably know. And so they faced Genty. They faced Achane. They faced Rico Dowdle, the king of running backs now. James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Quinshon Judkins, Bijan Robinson. All those guys under 50 rushing yards against the Pats defense. The one guy to go over 50, Sean Tucker of the Bucks.
Say that again?
Sean Tucker from the Bucks.
Yeah. I if you had given me 100 guesses, I would have gotten.
Pretty insane that's the only guy to go over 50 rushing yards. I believe it was like dating back to 1950.
Wow. That's impressive, man.
And no, so it was a 9-game streak of not giving up over 50 yards to a running back. And he only had 53 too. So ultimately that, very impressive on defense. Yeah, it crazy. I forget the exact, like you have to go back to date for a team to go 9 games without giving up a 50-yard rusher. It was like the 50s or 30s even. It was something crazy. In that
can we just circle back real quick? How are the Jets going to score points?
Exactly.
What kind of idiot would pick the Jets to cover here?
I have no clue. I wouldn't pick that.
Somebody. I don't know.
Some guy at the beginning of the show might have mentioned that one. Maybe he's back toward that take. The one thing I will say, and maybe this is where the answer to that question is, a handful of backs have had some success through the air. So it's not like it's 50 total yards. Devon Achane had 8 catches, 92 yards against him. James Cook had 5 for 45. Pollard even had 6 for 43. Bijan had 8 for 50 through the air. So a lot of teams, because they are just so good in the middle and the front, Milton Williams, an absolute animal. The whole D-line really has just been so phenomenal. Backs are getting out there in space, though, and designing passes for them. Rachaad White caught 5 balls last week, didn't do much with it. That's where I could see Breece Hall still yielding some fancy value. I'd hammer the under on his rushing props, and all of them around like 57.5 here. I don't think he gets to 50 yards. I think they keep that kind of – I know the streak is over, but again, the trend – we got 9 out of 10 weeks they haven't hit a 50-yard rusher. So I hit the under on Breece. I hit the under on Breece 31.5 in the first half in terms of rushing yards. But could he still get there in fantasy as a receiver? He had a 42-yard receiving touchdown last week. I don't see who else they even have to throw to tonight. So I think Breece Hall, especially if you get half and certainly in full PPR, still very much in play. A very tough question I got, Truth, was Breece Hall versus RJ Harvey, who's now starting up with J.K. Dobbins likely sidelined. You got this amazing Broncos run game with Sean Payton. That's a tough question for me. I'm going to probably go Breece Hall on that one, but that's kind of the measuring stick of whereabouts Breece Hall is getting asked about and ranked right now.
Yeah, that's not a crazy question. I might actually lead Harvey the more you're telling me about these Pats numbers, if I'm being honest. Before move on, we do have a couple super chats we want to address.
Oh, yes, of course.
And FZ Ware, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Rhamondre Henderson, Chase Brown flex, and running back, half PPR.
So you got to go Henderson at running back tonight. I have him at running back 9. Very few people I would go above Henderson. It is a tough flex question because I like Rome and the upside, but I'm going to go Chase Brown. I mean, he with Flacco has been lights out these last few weeks. I forget the exact number of targets he had his last game out. It was like 11 or 12. It was something insane.
It was a lot. It was definitely double digits.
Yeah, I think his expected fantasy points were like 40 or something insane because of how many targets he had. So I got to go with Chase Brown. Pittsburgh has been a very good run D, but ultimately that type of receiving volume, the way we saw the last time these two teams played, it was like, I think they combined for 80 total points or something nuts when Chase had 20 targets and just nuts fantasy points bonanza. I'm going to go Chase Brown and Henderson very slightly over Rome. What about you?
I agree with that. I definitely am going Henderson, and I think I would take Chase Brown. And although I definitely see the upside of Rome, I would probably do Brown pretty easily, just given the way that things have been going lately.
Let me just pull up. I got to see what these targets were in his last game. 14 targets. 11 was underselling him. 14 targets, 8 catches, 75 yards as a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Unbelievable type of usage. And entering that game, Flacco had only targeted him 2, 3, and 4 times. So I get a little bit of hesitancy, but you see the upside there. And last time against Pittsburgh, he had 108 yards and like 100 of them were in the first half. He looked really solid. I like Chase Brown there.
All right. Likewise, we do have another one. Krana says, see my question below. Curious of your answers. And look, this question, he sent this to us the last time that I was on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we said we're going to kick it down the road. And then I had to go, and I guess probably never got addressed again because this is the same exact question. And it's a good question. Now he's throwing us a couple bucks and saying, hey, guys, I'm still here.
Oh, man. So now we have the super chat. So we haven't had a chance to – I should have prepared for this one knowing Chrono would come back because we both love the question here. Oh, man. And so a backup such as Joseph, so it can't be like – I'm thinking like Jordan Addison, George Pickens, like these insane numbers.
We're not talking about a fantasy backup. We're actually talking about like a guy on the bench.
Right. And again, not somebody who's like a number 2. I wonder if like you could count like Tez Johnson as that because he was a backup, like, behind Godwin, behind Evans, behind all the Igbuka, and now he's a starter. But he's a starter now, so I don't even know if we would be allowed to use him.
This is really, really, really pushing my knowledge of guys that don't even start.
Oh, you know what? I actually have a couple pretty good ones.
Quarterback. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
You got your backup quarterback. You toss your quarterback out first because I got the skills down more here.
I mean, is Jimmy G currently starting for anybody?
No, he's the backup for the Rams.
I'm probably throwing it right. That's what I thought. I think I'm probably going to throw Jimmy G out there. He's a Super Bowl quarterback, or at least a Super Bowl appearing quarterback.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we can't pick Joe Flacco, right? Because he's starting today, even though he will
No,
be.
he's a starter. He's a starting quarterback.
Oh, man. Jameis Winston, the backup for the Giants. Like, come on. Who's
He
more
got
fun?
bumped up the depth chart. You see that?
I think he's if Dart's still out, he's going to be starting this week.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then you can't pick him because he's a starting quarterback now.
I mean, he might not be. He's technically the backup to. He's easily like the most exciting backup in the game. There's not
exciting backup, but are we going for exciting or are we trying to win?
I try to win with James. I think I mean, he beat the Steelers on that Thursday night with the snow game. I like
mean,
James.
at least one of your receivers here is a legitimate backup receiver. How many picks do you think James Winston's going to throw in this game?
And so that's where I actually have a good answer for the backup wide receiver.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, the first wide receiver, okay, Jamar Chase. Like, give me the best receiver in the game. But the question is, I don't know if they have to be teammates. So if
they don't.
Okay, so perfect. So Jamar Chase is my number one receiver. Luther Burden, I think, is the most exciting backup receiver in all of football right now. Playing behind Olamide Zaccheaus. And Krana, you know very well as a Bears fan, even just last week, he gets on the field for I think 10 total plays. And in those 10 plays, he has 3 catches.
Krana says you can count Tez Johnson.
Okay, so I love Tez Johnson too, but I honestly still would put Luther Burden ahead of him. That's how I'm impressed. I think our man Scott Barrett, I forget the exact ratio, but he had a phenomenal tweet about how in Olamide Zaccheaus, versus Luther Burden. Luther Burden has 90% of the yards that Olamide Zaccheaus has, and he's only played 10% of the snaps compared to Zaccheaus right now. It's something crazy, like a ratio like that. But I am so impressed every time Bird's on the field after the catch, blocking ability. I have no idea why this guy's not getting on the field. And all this, fantasy, everyone out there, whatever, let's move on, let's get to fantasy. I love stashing Luther Burden in fantasy leagues right now, by the way, because we've seen Ben Johnson do this before with a rookie wide receiver who had these glimpses, looked promising. The last 5 weeks of the season, the guy was the number one wide receiver in all of fantasy. Do you remember who this was, Truth? Ben Johnson, rookie wide receiver, went bananas down the stretch after not playing at all for the first, 11 games.
I don't remember.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'd sat on that for another 30 seconds or so, I might have gotten that.
I think you could have got there,
But the 30 seconds that I was thinking probably wouldn't have been very good airtime.
Yeah, exactly. We could have played some Jeopardy music for the
love Amon-Ra.
Yeah, so I go with, I think he's the easy backup wide receiver for me. Tez Johnson, I do love as well, but give me Luther Burden second. I think the second round, the 5th pick of the second round. Love that guy.
So who are we going to roll out for our tight end and our running back?
I mean, tight end, it's got to be Brock Bowers to me. Trey McBride's up in that conversation. I always love George Kittle and think, he's – if it was just
seems like a good locker room guy, right?
Exactly. And the goal, if the goal is to put up points, it's Bowers. But the goal is to have the best tight end on the field, and just like a good locker room, like you said. Probably George Kittle. Nobody's better.
McBride's a good call too, though.
Yeah, those would be the 3 in the conversation for me. I guess it depends on what our ultimate end goal is. I'd have a hard time not going Bowers, though.
Who'd you put out at running back? I know who I'd put out.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I'd put out Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah.
Is that who you were going to say too? Yeah. It's hard to not say Bijan and Christian McCaffrey and all these horses, but there's nobody more electric than Jahmyr Gibbs with the ball in his hand. So yeah, give me Gibbs for that one. What about the backup quarterback? So I took Jameis. Did you?
I said Jimmy Garoppolo if we're trying to win. I mean, now he's got a little bit of a noodle arm probably these days, but I don't know. Jameis. All right, let's go with Jameis. I mean, that would put butts in the seats. That's for sure. I
mean, a lineup with Jameis, Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, Luther Burden, and Brock Bowers would be
Brock Bowers. Yeah, honestly, like that. All right. Yeah, you're right.
That's a sexy team right there.
It is. One thing about Jimmy G, he's not sexy under the center.
Yes. There's nothing sexy.
Like he has won some games, but yeah, Jameis is a better call.
Oh man. Fun question, Cron. Thank you so much for the super chats. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Like we have obviously the Nuggets in terms of Harrison's going to be out, J.K. Dobbins unlikely, Jameis Winston, as we already mentioned, likely to play. Pacheco may take more time. Those are some of the big news and notes. Other than that, we don't need to go through McConkey practice in limited fashion. We already a half hour in. Let's get to some questions.
All right, let's roll. Let's do it. Starting up, Droid, 2098. Start one wide receiver, one tight end. Flowers, Tet, or Wandale, and then tight end, fat and useless Andrews. I love that that's catching on. Cade or Rhamondre?
Oh, good questions. For me, the tight end's easy. It's Rhamondre Stevenson. The guy's an absolute stud when he's out there. Sounds like the injury was a little bit of a scare, but nothing more than that. Practicing in full this week. So I'm definitely going to Rhamondre. He's my number 3 tight end of the week. So that one's the easy one for me. The receiver one does get a little trickier, especially because like Flowers and Tet are those type of guys that are always ranked a lot higher than they actually end up finishing. And for me, I've been on that on Tet for pretty much all
you
the
have.
year.
It's true.
But Flowers was the one that kind of slipped under the radar for me. And then a person commented on my rankings, and they're like, I know you're in line with the ECR, but I just don't understand why everyone keeps ranking Zay Flowers in their top 15 wide receivers. And so I looked at it, and I was like, okay, so how many times has this guy finished as a top 15 wide receiver? Just once. And that happened.
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I can remember one time, but
it was
hard.
week 1 against Buffalo.
It was a while ago, right? Like a long time ago.
It was week 1 against Buffalo.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I can remember. So that
it was in the primetime game. I think we all saw it, and we're like, wow, this is a new Zay Flowers. Wow, this is a new offense. And Flowers does look phenomenal. It's the same idea with Tet. Both these guys look amazing when the ball's in their hand. They make these acrobatic catches, especially Tet. But ultimately, the fantasy production, these are the other finishes for Zay Flowers on the season. Wide receiver 31, 88, 26, 32, 47, 28, 33, and 30. So not only has he –
It's insane to think of him as a top 15 guy. I mean, it's just absolutely nothing to back
wide
that
receiver too. He's not – that's not only was that number – and he was the number 1 wide receiver that week, but not only was that like his only top 12 week, his only top 24 week in half PPR fantasy.
He's not even startable in a lot of leagues. Yeah, that's great. You remember like week 1 does a number on you sometimes. You remember when Kelvin Benjamin went off in week 1 one time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had like 3 touchdowns.
I think we owned him. I think we had a team together, and I think he put up huge numbers. And I remember us talking the next week and being like, I remember specifically, we said, is he the best wide receiver in the fantasy right now, except maybe AJ Green, I believe was. So that's how long ago we're talking about.
You've been doing this for too long, dude. I love it. But
but I agree with you. I agree.
Ted McMillan's the same idea too. He has 2 top 15 performances on his resume, but again, wide receiver 30, 27, 45, 36, 28, 12, 57, 14, 49, 33. It just isn't great. That being said, though, I mean, like Wandale, he's just so boring. But
can't start Wandale. What's the purpose there?
If you have Jameis slinging him the rock, I don't know. But he's a similar boat where he's had 1 top 10 finish and the rest are in those like 30s. So you got all these kind of like high floor-ish, low ceiling-ish type guys. I would go Flowers as my favorite talent here. But it's funny that like all 3 of those guys are kind of the same exact mold, Droid. You clearly have a type here.
Well, I was asking the question, right?
Sadly, it's an underwhelming type. It's a good-looking type that I
was going to say, do we still do the equivalent to the woman at the bar? Has that been phased out? Because this is kind of asking for it.
I mean, it is one of the we tried to phase that out to be a little more politically correct.
All right.
But ultimately, it is a pretty obvious connection of like you first glance in the dark lights, everything's beautiful, and you're like, wow, I can't believe this one's even talking to me.
I was going to say, I can't believe this one's available.
And then suddenly you get there and it's just like boring missionary. Right. Wow, this is as underwhelming as all could be. God, truth. Why we can't go down these paths again.
All right, but you have to admit it was really asking for it.
It's the perfect example, and all 3 of these are the same boat. So yes, it was asking for it.
They're like sorority. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. We have some super chats to get to, but yes, and Droid, I would go Flowers, and I would go Mark Andrews, or not Mark Andrews.
Can I just say this super chat's in pounds.
Yeah, we've had on Sunday shows, Drew. Sometimes I've gotten like yen at one point. We've gotten
you got to get the super chats in yen.
It's pretty sweet to see like all the different currencies come in every now and again. Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, so J1364, thank you for the £1.99. Herbert or Flacco this week, and drop Nix or keep him. What do you think? I mean, depends.
I mean, if this is all in one team, I don't see a reason to keep 3 quarterbacks.
No, I agree with that.
And I do think Nix would be the one I would drop out of the 3. This is a really tough one because Flacco last time out against the Steelers, he went absolutely bananas. And we've seen it all year, how bad that defense is. Now he has to keep playing catch up. 26, 24, and 33 in his last 3 games, Joe Flacco, including 26 of those points were against the Steelers he's facing this weekend. I have Herbert higher in my rankings, but part of me wants to.
I'm leaning Flacco here. And I just want to say, by the way, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we said this was going to happen.
Yeah.
We really did. We whiff sometimes, but we had a real feeling that this was where this was going. This saved a lot of people's fantasy values.
Absolutely. And at quarterback, we said if you don't have to play Flacco this week, fine. You don't want to play him against Pittsburgh, but just stash the guy because we
Pittsburgh's defense sucks, man.
Yeah. They're just the Bengals defense is worse this year than they were last year somehow. And they were historically bad last year. So it's been beautiful. On that note, too, just to like toss out there, at this point, you're probably late, but Joe Burrow is practicing. And there was a point on Monday, I tweeted it out, follow at Roto Street Wolf for those kind of breaking tweet type of things. But ultimately, Burrow was out there on Monday because they were on bye week, and it came out that he was practicing. He's going to be out there in about 2 more weeks. And his playoff schedule, you got Baltimore, Arizona, and one more game. It might be the Lions or another shootout style game. Joe Burrow could easily go down and be a league winner. If Flacco's doing this, I do like Flacco, but if he's doing this, I mean, he could go bananas. So ultimately, I am going to bump Flacco up the rankings. I still go myself, though, Herbert, just because as impressive as those numbers were for Flacco, for Herbert's last 4, we had 30, 26, and 29, then 15. So he had a little bit of a dud against Pittsburgh last week. I do think Pittsburgh is started to figure out a little bit on defense. Again, Herbert had that tough week. Jacksonville's a top 10 matchup, though, for quarterbacks. I just think I just trust Herbert a little bit more than Flacco at this stage. And they both have been playing lights-out ball. I got to go with the younger, just cannon-armed guy that's leading the NFL in rushing yards right now, Justin Herbert. Insane.
You're talking about amongst quarterbacks.
Amongst quarterbacks, yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Specify among quarterbacks, yes.
Okay.
But crazy that he has 320.
That is crazy because he's not exactly what you would think of as like a scrambling type. That's for sure.
Not even close.
No, not even close. He's more of a lumbering type.
Yes, yeah. Although I tweeted this out. I wrote about it in the draft guide too. And I got to give credit again to Scott Barrett. For a long time, they showed the measurables of him compared to Herbert versus Josh Allen. And like in terms of 40 time, in terms of vertical ability, Herbert actually had like a much better combine. Obviously, Josh Allen had the track record and the production in college, and it was just a more natural, fluid runner. But the athleticism of Herbert's always been there. And Greg Roman, we know, has had very good success with running quarterbacks. Herbert just got hurt in the beginning of last year. That was the case I made in this year's draft guide, though, was I had a few bad takes in there. Don't get me wrong, but one of my better takes was we always do. You can't get 100 Jade on blue. God, get the hell away from me. Never want to talk about that guy again in my life. But ultimately, one of the best takes I had was my 2 Konami quarterbacks, the cheat code late round guys were Drake May and Justin Herbert. And the whole case for Justin Herbert was he's got these athletic measurables. He says, I want to be like Josh Allen, use these legs more. Greg Roman has that success. And man, has that been playing out big. So at least we knocked that one out of the park, the late round QBs. And I just think Herbert against Jacksonville, again, a really good matchup. I mean, we saw Geno Smith throw like for 400 yards against Jacksonville just 2 weeks ago in that crazy overtime game. I think Justin Herbert could just go absolutely bananas against them. As much as I do think Flacco could go bananas against Pittsburgh. And as a result of this question, I am bumping Flacco up my rankings ahead of even Stafford, right? That feels tough, though, putting him ahead of Stafford. What a lights-out year that
Stafford's been great.
I had an early season bet on him as MVP, and that's looking good right now. Him and Drake.
But you don't want to go against Drake.
I don't want to go against Drake. In early season, I even preseason, Drake May was like plus 2,000, and I had a little $5 sprinkle on that. Not bad. But win $100 real quick on that would be pretty sweet. I'm putting Flacco, though, fantasy-wise, above like Mahomes this week against Denver. Maybe that's crazy, but yeah. Either way, though, I do like Justin Herbert more than Flacco. Would you ultimately go? Are you final decision? You're going Flacco or what?
I want us to be a unified front on this because I
don't have to be.
No, but I mean, look, I don't feel strongly one way or another. Like everything we're saying, but I think that we should. I don't want to give Jay, who's super chatting us from across the pond, I don't want to be like, hey, one of us thinks this, one of us thinks the other one. I want to give him clear marching orders. So we're going Herbert, but we're tempted by Flacco, definitely. We agree if you're dropping one, Nix is the guy to drop. You don't need 3 QBs.
No, you don't. And right now I do have a team, my main league actually, where I have Lamar, I have Joe Burrow. I had to scoop him. I put him in the IR. And I have Dak Prescott as my backup. So I have to at some point drop one of these quarterbacks. Nobody's going to trade with me. I've tried a million times and everyone just says, screw you. So I don't know. Maybe I just might hoard the quarterbacks all year. But like Bo Nix is in a different tier than those 3 guys.
Agreed.
So ultimately, yeah, you can drop Bo Nix. It depends on who you're dropping him for. But yeah, you can drop Bo Nix.
With that said, I hate doing this because we got 4 super chats lined up right now. I think I got to run. This has been a blast. We're pushing 1,000 people. Not too bad for 4:30 on a Thursday. In a game involving the Jets. Let's not forget.
Exactly.
I will definitely be back for it next week. Hopefully I can stay the whole time. Thanks for all the support, everybody, the viewers and the super chats. It's been awesome. I won't be away as long next time, I promise.
Thank you so much, Truth. Great to see you as always, brother.
All right, guys. See you later.
See you, man. All righty. So let's clear up these super chats, guys. Thank you again so much. As Truth said, we are near 1,000 viewers already. We're not even an hour in. Thank you so much for being here. A thumbs up button is so greatly appreciated to help us continue to grow and get out to more people. But let's let you guys continue to cut the line here and get these super chats in. NC Firearms, Woody Marks, Trey Tucker, or Breece Hall. Full PPR. Also Brissett or Rodgers. Ooh, good questions all around. So NC Firearms, I think I got to stick with Breece Hall on this one. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but I talked about how, yes, the Patriots are a deadly matchup. The 4th fewest points to running backs. They are by far giving up the fewest rushing points to backs, but they are allowing some sneaky big receiving games to the very good talents. And I think Breece Hall is right in the conversation with some of these guys. So Devon Achane, 892 and a touchdown receiving. We have Bijan Robinson, 8 for 50 receiving, 5 for 45 for James Cook, 6 for 43 for even Tony Pollard. And sure, they shut out some guys like Chuba Hubbard, and they shut out, Alvin Kamara. I actually had a decent day against them as a pass catcher as well. So ultimately, yes, you probably heard the stat about only one 50-yard rusher and Sean Tucker being that guy. But backs have been able to get there through the air, and that's how I picture Breece Hall potentially getting there tonight. I'd hammer his unders on the rushing totals. I don't know that he runs in for a touchdown, but could he receive for one? I do think so. And in full PPR, you're hoping for those anyways. I mean, very tempting to see Woody Marks on there, but actually he might not even benefit from that very soft Tennessee matchup. Second most points to backs. That looks juicy. But I believe the last time these two teams play, it ended up being a Chubb type of day because they were up so big early that Woody Marks didn't really end up mattering. I'm gonna double check that game log because I do believe these teams have already played. Tennessee. Oh no, that's time out. I mean, that's very tempting right there. And that's in half PPR. So full PPR, Woody Marks put up 28. Oh man, that's juicy. Last week we did see him start to take over this backfield. Then you got Trey Tucker facing Dallas, which is, you couldn't ask for a juicier matchup there, NC Firearms. So I get your temptation here. It's one of those classic debates, the talent of Breece Hall in a tough matchup versus the lesser talents, but both of them, number 1 matchup for receivers for Tucker, number 2 matchup for running backs for Woody Marks. Very tough. I would limit this to the running backs myself because just as as soon as you trust Trey Tucker, it might be Tyler Lockett as the wide receiver that actually ends up doing it for them. I don't think so. I have Trey Tucker higher than the ECR. I do like him this week. Oh, man, this is a really tough one here. I think I'm probably going to go – my part of me just wants to go Woody Marks over Breece Hall, which makes me start to question my rankings a little bit here. Oh, man. Breece Hall, he's been getting it done lately. Through the air, they have no Garrett Wilson. Like, who else does this team even consider throwing to? 33 and 20 points in his last 2 games and that includes a very tough matchup against Cleveland. He was one of the few running backs to have success against them. 21 carries plus that 42-yard receiving touchdown. I'm going to stick with Breece Hall because I do think he can get there as a pass catcher tonight, NC Firearms. If you pivot to Woody Marks, though, I would totally understand. Very tough question. Thank you so much for the super chat. Again, Breece Hall for me. PPR, oh yeah, also Brissett or Rodgers. Oof. I mean, this is another tough one of the matchup versus the player. Whereas Brissett, 22, 20, 25, and 19. Top 10 quarterback, or top 12 quarterback, rather, a QB1 in all 4 performances so far this year. He seems to be the clear-cut no-brainer, but then you got Rodgers with 25 against Cincinnati. Their last time out, the best possible matchup you could ask for any position, including quarterbacks as well. San Fran, though, not a good pass rush. They've been allowing a ton of receiving points. Oh, man, these are very tough questions, and I love this show because it helps me kind of sift through my rankings and what do I truly believe here. Either way, I'm going to bump Brissett. I don't have him in the same tier as Rodgers, and I don't think that's correct. I do think Brissett belongs in that tier. I do think I'd rather have Brissett in my lineup, honestly, than Bo Nix at this point. So I'm going to have these guys 16 and 17. Do you really want to root for Rodgers? Like, I don't. I'm already -3 ECR on the guy at 16, and I think I'm going to bump him below Brissett because I just don't want to go Aaron Rodgers. He's had only 2 good games on the year. One of them, granted, was against the Cincy team. 16, 12, and 8 in his last 2, whereas Brissett has just been, rock solid all season. I shouldn't say all season, but his 4 starts have all, again, been in the top 12. I'm going to go with Brissett. I'm going to go Brissett here. I'm going to flip those guys in my rankings. I'm going to go Breece Hall and Brissett for you there. NC Farms, thank you so much for the support, and thank you so much, Phil, for your support here. Start Henry tonight or pick up Freiermuth or Noah Fant? Very good question here. I think Henry gets into the end zone. I have a good feeling about him scoring. It's been a couple weeks here. I think we get Hunter Henry into the end zone. I believe the Jets are middle of the pack against tight ends. I'm just going to check. The last I checked, I think they were like 12th, 13th against the tight end. So, top half of the league matchup for him. He's been quiet, though. I mean, 1 catch for 4 yards last week. Oh, or pick up Fry. The other options aren't great here. But we had Freiermuth explode against Cincy. I mean, Cincy last year was the best matchup for tight ends by a mile. And this year they're even better of a matchup. So I think I can totally understand the upside. We have not seen a good game from Hunter Henry since week 4. I mean, really good game since week 3. But he had like 10.9 and a half PPR in week 4, and then it's been 5.6, 4.2, 5.3, 7.2. He's very touchdown dependent. So which of these guys is like the best shot at erupting? It might be Pat Freiermuth here. I also do like Noah Fant, who had a big game against Pittsburgh the last time out. I think I'm going to bump up Pat Freiermuth, and I'm going to bump down Hunter Henry. And I do think he gets in the end zone tonight, which makes me nervous. But Freiermuth's been the route share's gone up these last few weeks. And the matchup against Cincinnati is really just like 23 points for Freiermuth his last time out. And he's outscored Hunter Henry and 2 of the last 4, 8.7. I'm going to go with Fry. I'm going to go with Fry there, Phil. Very tough call, but I can understand why you're sick of Hunter Henry. I think everyone assumes he's the shoe in play. I kind of had him as the shoe in play, and then you dive in and you see what's actually really underlying the surface there. Patrick with a super chat without a question. We don't have my man, the moderator, here. So let me see if I can find Patrick. Let me try to find Patrick. Here we go. Trade away Javonte, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Davis, Lad Benson for Kyron, Corum, Hendy, Swift, and Pittman. I mean, to me, I look at this and I say Kyron, Javonte, kind of a wash. Aaron Jones, certainly, let's compare him. He's the second best running back on that trade. Henderson, clear win over Aaron Jones. Swift, clearly better than Isaiah Davis or Benson as the third there. Corum, throw in whatever. But Pittman and to me, it's clearly the Kyron, Corum, Hendy, Swift, and Pittman side. Like, ultimately, you win on 4 out of those 5 spots. I don't even understand why the other guy would potentially do this. Maybe the best player in the deal is Javonte, but him and Kyron are very, very close there. Give me that trade 10 out of 10 times, Patrick. Kyron, Corum, Hendy, Swift, and Pittman. I want that side of the deal. No doubt about it. Thank you so much for the super chat as well, good sir. And then we had Ethan Pugh with our last super chat so far of the day. Thank you guys so much. 7 super chats. Very kind, very generous of you. Ethan Pugh, Debo, Troy Franklin, BTJ Pearsall, or Jennings at wide receiver this week? What about Caleb Williams, Mariota, or Rodgers at QB? Alrighty, Ethan, let's dive into this one. Knee-jerk reaction was Debo. He's been underwhelming, though. You got that quarterback question mark. How's he going to play with Mariota? How's this offense going to look with Mariota? I feel like if BTJ is in, it's got to be BTJ. I don't have BTJ ranked, but he's practicing in limited fashion. I don't know if Parker Washington returned to practice. That's one report I had not seen yet today. But if he is out, I'm trying to find it right here. Parker Washington, Roto World. Thank you guys for your patience. I did not see any notes on him. He returns to practice. Okay, so it was just like a precautionary holdout, so it would seem, on Wednesday. And then ultimately, let me just see the status of BTJ. Oh, man, this is a very tough one, Ethan. I'm leaning Debo. I know it's been pretty ugly, but Miami's good against wide receivers, though. They're a very, very bad defense, but they are good against wide receivers. So I have Juwan Jennings ahead of him anyways. That was kind of before factoring Pearsall, but I really like Juwan Jennings. Arizona, nothing about them scares me in terms of a matchup. And to me, this one's going to end up coming down to BTJ versus Jennings as we gather news. Like, if for some reason Parker Washington was ruled out, we had more consolidated target share. But BTJ is also kind of at that, like, you got to earn your spot in my lineup type of thing. So I'm going to go with Jennings at this one. Coming off that, looking as good as he has, had his highest average separation score last week, while also racking up 9 targets, 6 catches, 71 yards, the touchdown. Wide receiver, back-to-back pretty solid games too. 12.1, 14.1, seems to really start finding his groove here. I'm going to go with Jennings in a fine matchup and let him roll, Ethan. So I go Jennings at wide receiver. Quarterback, I probably go Caleb. I don't like Caleb, though. I don't like the Minnesota matchup. Caleb really has been a matchup merchant this year, and in the right spots, he has come through and delivered. I would probably, I would say, is Brissett available, but I also do like I like Mariota in this one. He's only made a handful of starts this year, 20.3, 17.2, 13.3, and 18.7 was his production in the starts. So all fairly solid. He does have the leg upside. Miami is a great matchup for quarterbacks, not a great matchup for receivers. It does make me a little tempted to stack him and Debo up when I do have Debo and Jennings within a spot of each other. Maybe you spread your bets, though. So I'm going to go Mariota and Jennings for your question here, Ethan. Rodgers, yes, he had that huge day against Cincy last time. I never feel good about having him in my lineup, though. Bad locker room presence. No Rodgers for me. That does wrap up these super chats so far. Thank you guys so much. Very kind, very generous. We got well over 1,000 live viewers with us right now. Please do consider hitting that thumbs up button. Help us get out to more people. Would mean so much for your boy. Like the heart button on Twitter, the thumbs up on YouTube, the likes, the shares, the retweets. And then check out these live rankings at rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed you fancy wolves. They will be live and updated right after the show. I'm kind of making these moves as we talk them through. On to the rest of your questions, though. Start 4 out of these options. And if you want to cut the line, that super chat is the way to do it. And thank you again so much, the 7 people who super chatted. Very kind, very generous of you. Start 4 out of these options. Gibbs, CMC, Javonte, Jacobs, James Cook. Droid, how do you have this stacked of a running back room? You got to make some moves. Trade at least 1 or 2 of these guys. Get yourself an elite wide receiver. That being said, let's pick the best of this cream. Rubbing this in everybody else's face. This is I was like, I'll never bench TreVeyon Henderson. I probably would bench him in this type of question. You're absolutely going Gibbs and CMC, 2 top 3 running backs. No brainer there. And then I'm going to lean into Josh Jacobs, I believe, over James Cook. I had James Cook at 4 and Jacobs at 5, but I just flipped them. The Giants are just that juicy of a matchup. 3rd most points to running backs, and they are just getting absolutely beat on. So is Tampa Bay. We just saw TreVeyon Henderson go nuts on him, so it wouldn't shock me at all if James Cook goes berserk as well. But, man, those are just too good of options. So I'm going to go CMC, Jacobs, and Gibbs for that one. My man Eric Buckman might not be able to make it Sunday. Hey, we will miss you Sunday morning, 8 a.m. when we go live again. Would love to have all of you guys there for that, but we might not have my man Eric Buckman, and no worries. Thanks for tuning in on your Thursday, good sir. Williams, Love, or McCarthy at quarterback. You'd want Williams in this hot streak that he's on, but I just think he's too matchup dependent. I'm going to go with Jordan Love, the New York matchup. Another matchup-dependent guy, Jordan Love, but he's the one that actually has the quality matchup entering this week. Pick 2, Slayton, Tez, or Jamo. I don't think Slayton's going to play, and either way, I'd go the other 2, Tez and Jamo, but Slayton might make that extra easy for you. You're looking at all 3 of these guys. You're kind of relying on the deep threats. Love the Tez versus Buffalo type of shootout-style narrative. Jamo's really been cooking these last few weeks, and Slayton just might not play. If he plays, you got Woodson slinging the rock. It is juicy. Don't get me wrong, Eric, but Tez and Jamo, I do think, are a little bit juicier. Giuseppe Russo. Let's get this dub indeed, good sir. I already have Mahomes. Pick 1 for Superflex. Mills, Brissett, Rodgers, Fields, or McCarthy. I think I'm leaning with Brissett on this one. We had the Brissett versus Rodgers question earlier. It prompted me to bump Brissett over Rodgers. Again, guy has not been outside the top 12 quarterbacks yet this year, including a tough matchup against the Seahawks. So I'm going to keep rolling that. You get the leg points with him as well. A lot of rushing upside, rushing touchdowns specifically with him. Pick 1 flex PPR, Addison, Metcalf, Gadsden, Shaheed, Algier, or Chris Rodriguez. This one would come down to DK versus Gadsden for me in a full PPR as it sounds. I'm going to go Gadsden. Keep that good man rolling. Seems like he is fully healthy. Was just a little bit of a knee scare, but the guy is back. I'm going Gadsden. Giuseppe Russo. Jane Daniels droppable. You picked up Burrow, IR spot, starting Flacco. Yeah, I should probably ride out the Cincy situation. If the Commanders are smart, they're going to end up resting Daniels the rest of the year in a lost season. You put your eyes towards 2026. You get your quarterback fully healthy. You don't risk him going out there and getting hurt yet again. I would drop Jane Daniels, yes. Giuseppe Russo. Pick 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, half PPR. Wandale, A.J. Brown, Dobbs, Michael Wilson, Monty, or Spears. I like probably Wandale and A.J. Brown. Tough quotes coming out of Philly this week for A.J. Brown on a live stream, apparently telling fantasy owners to drop him. But now you have this big game feel, the shootout-style matchup against Detroit. I feel like if this doesn't happen this week, then when is it ever truly going to happen? So I like going A.J. Brown this week. And then it comes down to Wandale versus David Montgomery. Montgomery being so touchdown dependent, I kind of want to see what Wandale does this week with our guy, Jameis Winston, at quarterback. So I'm going to go to Wandale in that one. Thank you so much, Giuseppe Russo, for all these. I mean, come on, Giuseppe. How many questions? I love filling out the mailbag, but Giuseppe, let's go. I'm going to rapid fire your questions. I'm going to go Loveland over Pitts. I'm going to flex Tez Johnson out of these options. Love to Penix, Geno Darnold. I'm going Love. Bears D or Atlanta. I love Atlanta against Carolina this week. Trade DK for Kamara. No, Kamara is absolute trash. There we go. Like, share, and subscribe, people. Wolf is the best in the biz. Get this man out to the masses. Thank you so much. I'm going Love over Purdy if Purdy even plays. And last one, Addison or Trace. For his Tracy, I'd rather have Addison in that one. Magic Mike, what would Wolf do? WWD. WWWD. That's what they all ask themselves when they have these tough questions in life. WWWD. And it rarely leads you to the right spot. No. Thank you so much, Magic Mike, for your question. Always making me chuckle. I have to drop one of Tootin, JCM, or Christian Watson for a kicker of all things. Should I drop one and stash Davis for tonight and then give him the flick if Breece is intact, or rather if Breece stays healthy? If Breece, yeah. I think that's a smart play. I'm trying to think of like you had Terrell Jennings, but then Rhamondre is probably back anyways. So I think if we're doing like a handcuff type of situation for tonight, I think Davis is the only one that makes sense. I'm assuming you know your rules and you can cut Davis afterwards because that would be brutal. On ESPN, you typically cannot cut your bench guys that have already played. Yahoo, you typically can. Sleeper's a mixed bag. So confirm that that's the way you can do it. I would drop of these guys probably Watson or Tootin. It really depends on your team needs. If you don't think you'll ever use Tootin, he's really just become a clear-cut backup piece. He's a handcuff and an intriguing handcuff. But also on the flip side, if you know you'll never use Watson, your receivers, you got 4 ahead of him, then you cut Watson. That one comes down to team need. I do think both are interesting bench stashes. So I would just cut whichever one my team doesn't need. I wouldn't cut JCM, even though he's getting to that point. Henderson or White, says Krana. It is 100% Henderson in that one. T-Mac, Diggs, or BTJ, I would go with Diggs, and I love Tez Johnson. He should be rostered, but I still would go Diggs over him. DeMarcado, Spears, or Charbs, I would be going Krana, probably DeMarcado. You got to track what Bam Knight's status is, but it seemed like DeMarcado is trending to a feature back role, and he's looked I love what I'm seeing out of D. I've always enjoyed watching DeMarcado play. I feel like he's more explosive than he gets credit for. He's slippery behind his blocks. I'm a DeMarcado fan. Ross H., what's good, sir? Good to see you. Thursday Night Football, would you start? It is. You are correct. Would you start Henderson over QJ, Tet, and Chase Brown in the flex? I'd start Henderson over all 3 of these guys. My other running backs are Kyron and Javonte, who I have Henderson above. So Henderson's the best player in this question. See, this is what I know at the beginning. I probably got a lot of why is he talking about Henderson? You guys got to understand, again, 79% of the snaps, averaging 20 fantasy points per game across his last 2. The running back 6 since Rhamondre got hurt. You got to be playing Henderson. 13-point favorites at home. You got to play Henderson. So the guys I would sit, if you have to sit one of these guys, you're playing Kyron, you're playing Javonte, you're playing Henderson. And then it sounds like you have Quentin Johnson, Tet, and Chase Brown in the flex. You got to bench one of these guys. I'd probably bench Tet. I would bench Tet of those guys. Prescott or Flacco? I'm going to go Prescott, Ross H., but I'll tell you, I bumped Flacco up tonight the more I was digging into him. And he's literally my 7th quarterback, and Prescott's my 6th. Cowboys or Falcons? I like the Falcons again. I think they're just a very talented option there. Perhaps I had Tez in the mix of the first question. No, you're still going Henderson, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't go Tez over those other receivers either. Krana, not starting Caleb with Vikings good defense. Which QB to stream? Rodgers, Geno, Tua, or Purdy if he plays? This is one where I would probably go to Rodgers and just play that Cincinnati, roll the dice on him, just going nuts against them. We are over an hour in, folks, nearing 1,200 live views. Please do consider that thumbs up button, checking out RotoStreetJournal.com for these updated rankings after the show. We'll be live for a little bit less than an hour for the rest of the show. Should be able to mow through the rest of these questions, but keep them coming in, good folks. Heart button on Twitter, thumbs up button on YouTube. Krana Shaw, Pitts or Theo, Swift or Judkins, and finally Rice or Adams. I would go, now that Jameis is playing, I think I would go, although the Panthers are a very good matchup for tight ends. So I would go Pitts here. It is my tight end 10 versus tight end 11, though, Krana. Very similar, very close, same tier. So I understand the question. I would go Pitts very, very slightly, though. Swift or Judkins? Neither one's in a great spot. Judkins could get game flowed out pretty quickly. Swift, the Vikings are an okay run D, not great, not bad. I'd probably go with the talent and lean into Judkins on that one. Rice or Adams in PPR, because of that Denver matchup, I think 90%. I actually would probably bench Waddle of these wide receivers, and I would go Adams and I would go Rice. You're talking about Adams at my wide receiver 11, Rice at my wide receiver 9, and Waddle's my wide receiver 12. Love all 3 clearly, but I think Waddle I have the lowest. That Washington matchup is juicy, though. Don't get me wrong. I am going to bump Ibuka over Rice just because that Denver matchup worries me a little bit, and I was going to go Adams over Rice, so I'll bump him up too. Bulldog, what's going on, my man? Pick 2, Harvey, McMillan, Judkins, Jennings, or Vidal. Thank you. I got to lean into Harvey with this one. We've been waiting for him to be the featured back. Now that Dobbins is 99% likely to miss at least this week, He's going to get that role. So I'm going to go with Harvey. And, oh, man, now it gets tough. I would say the receiver I like the most here is Jennings, but I probably go with 2 running backs here. I clearly put Harvey above Judkins, and I ultimately have Judkins higher in my rankings. I'm going to make that switch as we speak. Judkins go down. I worry a bit about Judkins getting game flowed out and the fact that this Ravens defense was such a good matchup for everybody. Since welcoming back some of their key pieces, they become a much tougher unit. But I'm leaning Harvey and Judkins for this one nonetheless. Jennings would be the third man up there for me. I mean, Vidal did look great. He's just been like alternating good weeks. 19.8, 3.5, 18.7, 3.0, 16.8, probably a 3.0 type of dud. But I go Harvey and then Judkins myself. Tien Nguyen. Which QB, Baker, Rodgers, or Jordan Love? I got to go with Baker. Just a shootout-style game, chasing points against Buffalo. He's always rock solid. I know it hasn't been quite the level of last year, but I'm going Baker. Would you start May over Dak? I would go Drake May. Yeah, Drake May here. Pat Bailey teased it to 9.5, I thought. Let's go with 10. So that was actually on the books. We have a separate bet, and I cannot wait for that anchor dinner. It should be delicious. It was 9.5. 10.5 is what I did on DraftKings. So that was a different bet, good sir. We're going to get to 11 wins anyways, so I'm not worried about that, but I'm not giving you an inch here. If the Pats get to 10 wins, I'm getting that free anchor dinner, and I cannot wait for that seafood pie, baby. Abraham, what tight end can I get with TreVeyon in trade, guys? Oh, I mean, if I'm trading TreVeyon, I'm looking at a top-tier guy. So you're probably not going to – what you might have to do is like TreVeyon and your tight end to get to Trey McBride or Bowers. That's really the only guys I would consider with TreVeyon. Maybe, just maybe, George Kittle now that he's starting to wake up, and Purdy will be back soon, his boy. The only other guy I might put in that conversation is Rhamondre Stevenson if he's fully healthy, but I'd want to wait and see how that looks. And even then, it's like TreVeyon is definitely a tier above Gadsden for me. I think you got to be trying to get to Bowers or McBride there, Abraham. Start Henderson or Hall in my flex. I'm going Henderson, crypto night 10 out of 10 times. Guy's been absolutely lights out without Rhamondre. That game last Thursday was some of the worst. Yeah, that was so bad. Monday night was great, but I feel like a lot of serious fantasy players can't see the difference and just want offense. I get it. In that Monday night game, I agree. It was just like that was good defense, not bad play all around. It was definitely some fun football to watch Willie G. No doubt about it. Versus Thursday night, which was just puke-worthy football. Oh, that was so bad. Fatty Mateo, Truth and Wolf, what's up, boys? Full PPR, okay to hate drop Jacoby? I think so. Depends who you're hate dropping him for, but yeah, I think you can. Number one fantasy show. Congrats. Hey, thank you so much, Crypto Night. I don't know if that's in your personal rankings or somewhere else out there that tweeted out with the number one show, but hey, I'll take it either way. Thank you so much for always being here, Crypto Night. I know you said last time you've been here for a couple of years now, and I really appreciate that. Willie G, last flex. Harvey, Walker, DK, Parker Washington, Manungai, or Parker Washington the second time. I think it's the second Parker Washington I go. No, I go with RJ Harvey here, assuming that Dobbins is out. I know the Chiefs is not the best matchup. You can't. This is what we've been waiting for is RJ Harvey rosters. Let's put him in. Let's put him in. Fatty Mateo. I'm the 1 seed playing the 3 seed, 45% underdog. Ooh, 1 seed underdog, huh? Flex Breece, Woody, or Franklin. So this was one similar to what we got earlier. And man, I saw Woody had like 26 against Tennessee. Breece, though, 30 and 20 in his last couple of games. I feel a little bit safer with Breece. If you feel you need that little bit more jolt of upside, Woody probably does bring that to the table, but I would probably go Breece here, Fatty Mateo. Last flex, Harvey, Ken Walker, DK, Parker. Oh, yeah, I think Willie G asked that one already, and it's Harvey for me. I think you re-asked your question and took away the double Parker. Seahawks, or can I drop Jacoby and add Steelers, Dallas, or Browns? I don't love really any of these defenses. So, could you drop Jacoby and add them? Sure. If you had to go with one, it was probably Dallas against the Raiders. I'd probably just ride out with Seahawks, though. And if I'm dropping Jacoby, I'd rather get an intriguing handcuff, a Brian Robinson, for example. Willie G. Massey, I agree these Pats are likable, and I'm a Bills fan who couldn't stand. And you know what is funny, too, Willie? Like, I couldn't stand the Bills for a little while, though I always did love Ryan Fitzpatrick. I really like these guys, though, Josh Allen and all them. The bad blood, not so bad in the division anymore. Cole Jacobson, he's on IR. So, okay, he was tweeting out about Garrett Wilson. He was put on IR. They just announced it recently. Mason Taylor worth anything? Probably not. As long as Justin Fields is your quarterback, probably not. Wilson was put on IR. Okay, so yeah, people are clarifying. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, probably cuttable in fantasy. I don't know that we see him yet again this season. Pats defense, Texans defense. You got to go. You're talking two of the best options, WC. I think I go Texans against Tennessee. Very close, though. Very tough. Crypto Knight ended up picking up Hall on waivers. Just nuts that these guys are getting dropped. But that's why people will be like, never in my league. It happens. It happens everywhere. Mr. Juan Pena, official 24. What's going on, Juan? Wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and flex. Adams, of course, is in your lineup. I would then go, of the rest, probably Tez Johnson and Quentin Johnston would be my next ones. And then the flex, I'd go probably Debo over Zach Charbonnet. Jacobs and Henderson, boom, love it. And you got Jonathan Taylor. Stacked running back room, Mr. Pena. Fatty Mateo, different league, full PPR, need upside, Breece or Harvey? I feel like you keep saying the need upside because you don't want me to say Breece Hall, but this is a guy that scored 20 and 33 in his last couple of games, and as a receiver, can rip that big play at any time. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. And yeah, thanks. It was the Lions. We had that little brain fire trying to think, like, who are they facing? Who are they facing? Yeah, we got there. Sorry, WC, that your wide receivers stink too. Ty Warren owner said Warren is available. Any trade ideas? Roster is Lamb, London, Adunze, Diggs, JT, Judkins, Marks, Harvey, Goddard, M. Taylor. Sounds like you could use the tight end. I would be looking at maybe like a Goddard and Marks or Goddard Diggs type of deal there. You're never moving JT, London, Lamb. Adunze probably off limits too. So I would probably do, if you could do Mason Taylor and one of those guys, even better. But if it has to be Goddard, maybe like a Goddard Marks, something like that, or a Goddard Diggs, that's where I would be looking. Start Adunze or Diggs, I would be leaning. It's a tough matchup against Minnesota. I believe for a while they were the hardest matchup for wide receivers. And that's now Denver. Minnesota's 26th, though, so still a tough spot for them. So I would lean Diggs here. I think with no Sauce Gardner, yeah, I'm going to go Diggs there. And I would go Harvey over Marks, yeah. My receivers suck. I started season with Tyreek Hill, Calvin, MHJ. Scrambling since day one. Sounds like it, WC. We buy homes near you. Start 2 running backs. Kyron, TreVeyon, and Gibbs. For me, it's Gibbs and TreVeyon. Crazy to bench Kyron. I wish I had a flex, but yeah, I like those other 2 more than him. Steven Pereira, Trey Tucker, Dobbs, Wandale, Debo, Tet, pick 2, half PPR. I'm liking probably Wandale with Winston slinging that thing all over the place. And then I guess Debo over Tucker. So I had this is actually pretty funny, Steven. I had to look at the rankings. Like, how did I rank this out? I have Wandale 26, Debo 27, and Trey Tucker 28. Ted McMillan's actually my lowest there at 32. And Dobbs, I have well below ECR. I know Giants seems like a good matchup. I don't ever like having Packers wide receivers in my lineup. So I do have it ranked Wandale and Debo. If you wanted that jolt, though, I do think Trey Tucker brings a little more upside, definitely more risk to the table than Debo. But I'd go Wandale Debo for that one, good sir. 2 receivers in 1 flex out of Rice, Jettas, Higgins, and Igbuka. Oof. I'd be benching Higgins here. Man, you got some good teams here, though. I go Igbuka. Yeah, you got to have Jefferson, Rice, and Igbuka in there. So T's on the bench, even though, if I'm not mistaken, he had a monster blow up against the Steelers just to cut. No, that was the week after. Do we think Purdy plays this week? No clue. It seems like they're starting to trend towards Breece Hall coming back and the whole lineup getting back together. So maybe, but it's so unclear what those 49ers are trying to do these days. I've had to depend on C. Sutton and Quentin Johnson and MHA. Yeah, 3 very inconsistent. You're still live for playoffs, though. Let's go, WC. You got to just claw your way in there. Jaden Daniels, what are you? Jeez. Sounds like we're at fantasy therapy for you. Keep venting for my man. Let it all out. It's good for the soul. Patrick 544. Trade Javonte, Jones, Benson. That was the super chat we already got to, and I said yes, do that deal. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Tez, Judy, Hall, Jennings. I would go for the flex. I like going Hall, and call me crazy, but wide receiver, I like Tez. It comes down to Tez or Jennings for me. I think I go with Tez, with Pearsall now back. Very tough question, Jose. It's probably safer to go Jennings, but I just love what I'm seeing out of Tez Johnson. Io Manor for Tunes, JCM, Malik Washington, or Otten. I like Otten the most here. I just go JCM. I don't like the other two. I don't like JCM much, but I'd probably go JCM and Otten. Jaden Daniels, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley killed us. Yeah, they killed you at least. I have them in some leagues, but not a ton. I did like those guys entering the season, though. I didn't love Ridley. I didn't have Ridley in anywhere. I like kind of got aboard the Jaden Daniels, or rather the Cam Ward hype. Tyreek Hill I was excited about. You can count on Tez Johnson. Oh, yeah, that was after that question earlier. Should I start Harvey over Warren for flex half PPR? Oh, I tell you what, I'd be very tempted to do it. I might even just pull the trigger. I have Warren ranked ahead of him. Just feel safer. You got Cincy as well, and you got the coach saying we got to add even more to his plate. So it seems like it's lining up for a big Warren week. I'd be damn tempted, but I would go Jalen Warren there. Flacco or McCarthy? I am definitely going Flacco there, slinging it out there. WC. Demetrius. Diggs or Flowers, non-PPR. Thanks. Touchdowns are at a premium. Go for the guy that scored in 3 straight games. That's Diggs. Went with my gut and started Tez Johnson over Tet last week. I did the same, Al Grot, and I loved it. Should I start Tez again over Tet? Yes. You got a shootout against Buffalo brewing. Tougher pass defense than what we had last week. But, yeah, I love Tez. I'm going with it. I was thinking of starting Tez over QJ. QJ drops a lot of passes. He sure does. And I'm going to have that decision this week with Olave on bye. I don't, but in the future, I am going to have to be deciding between Tez and Quentin. The Jags are a very solid matchup for wide receivers. So I have Quentin at 23 and Tez at 25. But WC, they're in the same tier. If that's what your gut is telling you, trust it. They're right neck and neck with each other. So I don't hate the move by any means. I'm starting T. Higgins and McConkey in the flex, Kyron at running back. Would you play Vidal over any of them? No, I don't think so. I'm between McConkey and Higgins. You're talking about 2 top 20s, maybe even top 15 wide receivers. Kyron, I'm not benching. Multiple touchdown upside every single week. And Vidal has just been boom or bust in these alternating weeks, and he had his boom last week. The bust is due. I would definitely go T. Higgins over A.J. Brown. Those vibes could not be any worse right now for him. And then we left off with Jose Rodriguez, Jennings, Tez, Mooney, Hall, pick 1. I think I go Breece Hall, followed closely by Juwan Jennings there. Burrow, maybe a little injury prone, but dogs. What's up, Ethan? Oh, yeah, thank you for that super chat. Good, sir. And then, Patrick, we answered that super chat for you earlier, and I do like that. Great seeing the truth. It is great seeing the truth every single time, Ethan. And hopefully he's got a couple swim meets and different things, but we're hoping these next couple of weeks we'll be able to ride the whole show out with him. We shall see. Tien Nguyen, PJ Washington, or DeMarcado? I know he's a basketball player, so I'm trying to think of like who you might have meant by PJ Washington. Honestly, I don't know, so I'm going to go DeMarcado there. Hunter Henry or Fannin? Tunes, I don't love it. I don't know. The fan and volume has been solid. Hunter Henry's just so boom or bust with the touchdowns. I just think he scores tonight, which makes it tough for me. I don't want to recommend him, but then I think he scores tonight, so I'm going to go Hunter Henry there. Zay, Drake May over Dak? Yes, I did answer, and I said Drake May for sure. I just think they're going to pile on the points. And I do think Vrabel's kind of that mold of coach that's like, oh, he's in the MVP conversation. Let's keep him in that MVP conversation. And they just rack up the stats tonight. Parker Washington or BTJ, asks Jack. I'd have to go BTJ, assuming they're both in. And it might be the last week I do that. Like if Parker outplays him yet again, then yeah, I'd probably reconsider. But I got to go BTJ. One more shot. Bulldog, Brissett over Mariota. I did not have that that way. I did have Mariota higher. But I just keep looking at those stats. Top 12 in every start so far for Brissett. The offense is really cooking. I said I hated Petzing, the coordinator, and now with Murray out, it's just been a lights-out offense. And San Fran cannot get after the passer at all. I probably go Brissett there. I do. Bulldog. And then we got Sport Dog asking 18 PPR, super using London, and JMO as my wide receiver. CMC and Warren's running backs need 2 flex. Pickens, Vidal, Marks, Shakir, Shaheed, Johnston, Aaron Jones. Who would you use? I would go Pickens and probably Marks. Very close, very tough. The more I've dug into Marks tonight, the more I keep bumping him up. And he's getting another bump up to make sure he's ahead of Vidal now in the rankings. Man, that's a tough one. But yes, I go Pickens and I go Marks of their quality team there, Sport Dog. Crypto Night, pick one PPR, Hendy or Breece. I'm definitely going Henderson there. I think I answered that one earlier for you, Crypto Night, but I would absolutely go Henderson. Similar ceiling, much higher floor with the matchup here. WC, Tez, QJ, Dobbs, Sutton, half PPR, pick 2. Call me crazy. I'm going Tez and QJ. I'm benching Dobbs and Sutton for that one. I'm done with it. I mean, Sutton's been out-targeted by Troy Franklin in like 5 of their last 6 games together. He's been outproduced in those games. I don't love it. Would you trade BTJ for Alec Pierce? Felipe? I don't think I would. I just, maybe I'm take locks. Maybe I can't get over the fact that I paid a second rounder for BTJ, but I just can't give that up quite yet. And we already answered that one for the Sport Dog. Tez, Tet, Jennings, Hall, Judy, pick 2. I would go Hall, and I would go with either Tez or Jennings. I go Jennings, I think. Dobbs, Jennings, and QJ need to start too. I would be benching Dobbs for that one, Felipe. Dylan Chilcote, Henderson or Ladd, very tough, but I go Henderson on that one. Again, 79% of the snaps, 71% of the routes, 60% of the carries, averaging 20 fantasy points per game. In the last 2 games without Rhamondre, the running back 6. I go with TreVeyon there. And I like the deal that you made. I think you got the 2 better running backs, so I love it. Debo or Monty for Giuseppe? Got into my head. I think I go Debo. Crypto might pick 1, Breece or Rice, 1 point PPR. I'm going Rashee Rice. Denver, a tough matchup, but Surtain might be out again. And they just design such creative ways to get Rice the rock. He scores every week. I'm going Rashee Rice there. Should I trade Pittman in a 7th round pick for Rico Dowdle in a redraft PPR keeper league? Especially if you can keep Rico for what I mean, he must have been like a last round guy. And if he's we'll see what Carolina does. I know it's a short term deal, but they clearly like him more than Chuba. He's been one of the elites out there. I think I would pull this deal, especially if you need the running back, and then you could keep maybe Rico later. I like it. Start Tutty Tez. I love it. Trade market. You got it, Melvin Loyalist. I think it's a great name there. Yo, my guy, an early happy holidays. And to you as well. You and yours, Julien. Absolutely to you and your head. And you said to my family too. Thank you. You're such a kind guy. Thank you, sir. Start Shakir, Tez, Theo, or Ertz. Thanks, brother. You might be surprised, but I actually limit this one down to Tez and Theo. And I'm going touchdown Tez as Melvin Loyalist right before you. It's fate. Says start Tutty Tez, then you ask about him, and I have Tez above Shakir. I have Theo above Ertz. Is Shakir even going to play? I know he's banged up at practice so far this week. I like that matchup. I think both those guys, Shakir Tez, shootout game of the week, maybe. I think it's going to be a very fun one, but I lean to Tez. Just bigger play, upside, juicier. I love Tez. I'm going to go with Tez there. Already starting May and Henderson, as you should be, Aaron Levy. Would you go with Diggs too? Stack it up? I do like the all-in move. I think that, like I said at the top, I think the Patriots pace the points on tonight. I think they easily cover the 12.5. That being said, Devontae versus Diggs, I probably go Devontae. Maybe I spread my bets out a little bit because May could get there, and it could all be to Mac, and it could be to that. And you got a Detroit matchup. I'm bumping Devontae up the rankings ahead of Diggs. That's a tough tier, though, with like McConkey, Devonta, Diggs, Higgins. Very tough to sift through that one. But yeah, I go Devonta over Diggs there. Thank you again, as always, to Aaron for being here. Alcrot, Tutty Taz. I love that this is becoming a thing. Or Tet McMillan. I went Tutty Taz over Tet Mac last week, and it panned out. I love it. Yeah, Tutty Tez. I'm going Teddy Tiz. And then Crypto Night, thank you, brother. I look forward to you twice a week. Thank you so much, brother. I look forward to doing it. I used to do 3 to 4. I mean, there was a time where I was doing 6 a week. And then got married and now the kid, and you continue to strip down and you do what you can. I love doing it, and it's especially for people like you that have been playing fantasy a long time. Real recognizes real, you're real. Thank you, Crypto Night. I really, really appreciate it. And Gilliam, this is Mark G. What's up, Gonzo? I know it's weird because they're showing like the usernames, not like Mark Gonzalez, where you actually type your name in. I don't know why. So those happened to you, Crypto Night, the other week, where I was like, the first time I've seen your name here. I don't even remember. If you remind me what your actual name is, Crypto, because you'd be like, I've been here for 2 years, man. I don't know everybody's user handle. I just know what used to pop up. And now, for whatever reason, they're showing me like the @ name of people. And I can't always, like, how would I know this was Mark Gonzo with Gully M? But good to see you, Gully M, and great to see you, man. I don't know if you're coming back to Boston for one of those booze events, but let me know if so. That was a blast getting some beers with you. And happy holiday again to you, good sir. Alrighty, Wolfpack. That is all the questions we have. You guys are the best. Thank you so much, Alcrot. You're the best too. You guys are awesome. Love doing this. Love being with you. One last call for that thumbs up button on YouTube, the heart button on Twitter as we wrap the stream up. And of course, check out the updated rankings at rotostreetjournal.com. This is a pleasure to see you guys each and every week. I'll be live again Sunday morning at 8 a.m. I try to get a Friday article up every week too about the guys I'm getting most asked about, the streamers of the week, like Michael Wilson perhaps, and those different things. I'm going to do my best, but it's the end of quarter at school, so I have a lot of grades and reports and things to write. So probably no extra article this week. We'll see, though, if I can sneak one in tomorrow at work. But either way, the rankings will always be live and updated, and I will be live Sunday morning either way at 8 a.m. You guys are the best. Hit that thumbs button wherever you're at, the thumbs up, the heart. Hit rotostreetjournal.com. Check out all the great content we got churning out in a world full of fancy sheep, guys. Be the wolf. Best of luck tonight.